fellow Estonians, we've weathered some serious challenges in our 268-year history. Easton is a story weaved together by resilient spirit of our residents, and we will rise together again as neighbors, as one city, one community. We played an important role all the way back to our nation's independence, as we showed our courage with the public reading of the Declaration of Independence. We've made sacrifices during the wars, from the early French and Indian War all the way up to the World Wars and most recently our conflicts. We've labored and sacrificed, some with their own lives, to build the great canals and railroads. We were a birthplace for the Industrial Revolution, and we sustained and survived many different diseases and viruses before. Our ancestors survived the Great Depression, and we endured and survived the 2008 recession. We weathered the flight to the suburbs and watched as our population dropped, our loss of our business district, a rise in violence and crime, to just what was 2 weeks ago, a city that was alive and well, with an economy that was growing beyond all expectations. This was an economy that wasn't based on large corporations. This was an economy based on small businesses. We built an economy on hard-working people looking for a better life for their family and friends and employees. An economy built on small businesses attracting many, many, many visitors and customers from our outside to the city and to city businesses. This is a make or break moment, as COVID-19 is one of the greatest public health threats of our time. Now is the time for bold, urgent, and transparent leadership, not false claims and political rhetoric. But I think it's fair to say that this has been a different but still a very challenging time for all of us. I want to assure all of our residents and businesses that your city is fully committed to helping each other through this period of uncertainty, and I'm tirelessly committed to making sure that Easton comes out of this better, stronger, with more community spirit than ever. We are Rovers, and we will remain Rover strong. Let me also say that I'm deeply appreciative of all city employees who have been steadfast in their service to the city. Their flexibility and resiliency as witnessed during these trying times have been remarkable, and I appreciate their efforts and their encouragement. Our employees are still working, so if you see one of them, say thank you. I'm also very appreciative of our first responders, particularly our police officers and firefighters, who are braving this virus and moving into the city's need, whether it's the residents or our business. I'm also appreciative of my fellow mayors. I've spoken to several mayors, from Todd Tersigny in Phillipsburg to Deneen Starachi in Lancaster. Our senior staff members have been in communication as local governments are on the front line of this pandemic. We are also in communication with Northampton County Government and County Emergency Management Department. I've talked to Judy Walker, chairperson of the Project Hope, which sponsors a great event at the holiday time, giving a meal and clothing and groceries to our less fortunate. Her group was looking to sponsor a community picnic on May 30th, but now looks to do some version of a curbside pickup event. But also, I was speaking to her today about sponsoring free pizza days in downtown for our less fortunate population. They are truly a wonderful group of volunteers who are helping the less fortunate in our community. Estonians never cease to amaze me with their compassion and consideration of others. I'm speaking to a lot of residents, and a repeated concern that I'm hearing is the number of New York residents that are fleeing that city and coming to visit and stay with friends and families in Easton. This is a grave concern to me as well. I'm asking that those host families, those Estonian families, make sure that their visitors from New York City are self-quarantined for at least 14 days. I can't stress this enough because, as we all know, more than 50% of the coronavirus cases come from New York City. There's a saying that when the enemy is at the gates, it's not a time to panic. Rather, it's a time to review our strategy, modify and update it as necessary, and work together to get through this challenge. My assurance to you, my fellow Estonians, is that we will get through this challenge. 2 points. Our biggest problem is that our enemy is invisible. We can't see it. Easton is used to floods, hurricanes, natural disasters, where you can see the effects or the impact of the disaster. This is a silent, invisible virus that is affecting us. So we need to look at it differently. My assurance to you, though, is that we will get through it. It's not going to be seriously taken by everyone, but I'm asking you tonight to take this seriously. The numbers are increasing every day. My staff, we watch it every day. We listen to other governors from across this country, to our president, to the coronavirus task force, and it's getting serious, more serious every day. It's also a challenge because our efforts are not local, they're statewide. And we must rely on our state government and our healthcare providers to address this enemy. If it was down trees from the Hurricane Sandy, we just sent out our public works department, they would clean everything up for us. It took a while, it took 5 days to get our electricity back on and all the trees cleaned up, but we were in charge. In this case, we do take some of our leadership from our state, so we're asking for state help, and you will hear about some of that tonight. Please also don't have any front porch gatherings, outdoor or indoor play dates for your children. Be smart, save a life. Our focus up to this point has been to avoid spreading the virus, especially to our most vulnerable senior citizens, or those with underlying health care problems. You may have heard it as referred to it as flattening the curve. People should continue social distancing, avoiding large crowds. Wash your hands thoroughly and with hot water. Avoid touching your faces, and please cover your mouth and with your elbows when needing to cough or sneeze. And please listen to our governor and stay at home. I ask for your patience. In these uncertain times when things are changing, frustration is likely to happen. And we want to encourage people to be patient, be kind, be considerate, and look out for your neighbor, especially our senior citizens. If they don't answer the door, leave a note on their door that you were there and you were concerned about them. Maybe they just don't want to open the door in this time of crisis. During this time of unprecedented uncertainty, residents are going to turn to our public officials like us on City Council and expect us to take swift and decisive action grounded in the data, the scientific data, to ensure the well-being of their personal health and financial security. Frankly, they should demand no less than us. Later in our meeting, I will ask my colleagues to ratify the actions our administration has taken in addressing this challenge on the local level. I will outline them for the viewing public. On March 19th, I issued an emergency declaration and outlined several emergency actions this week in regards to the COVID-19 outbreak. Steps which would increase our purchasing authority related to COVID-19, ensure city employees are paid while they shelter in place or take care of their families, and allow the city to spend federal dollars allocated for the cost of COVID-19 pandemic. Let me state, all this time I have deeply been at this time today, as a result of this morning's early morning vote, I am deeply disappointed in our federal government for eliminating the portion of the stimulus plan that would have given direct funding to cities and local governments based on the CDBG, Community Development Block Grant formula. Most of the money will go to counties and states, and we will have to be begging to make sure that our small businesses and our residents get the assistance they need. On tonight's agenda will also be resolutions concerning and ratifying actions that we've already taken to deal with this task and this crisis, and ratify for our residents' well-being tonight. They are such things as suspension of all non-essential city services. We will be extending the filing of your earned income tax paperwork and payment to July 15th to match the state and school districts and county new date. We will also be extending for our small businesses the business privilege tax until August the 1st of 2020. 2020 City of Easton real estate taxes are also extended to August 1st without penalty. We are asking City Council to authorize the administration to borrow if necessary, and only due to the coronavirus, short-term loans up to $300,000 by telephonic approval of the majority of City Council. To borrow from city reservoirs and city funds that are available for specific expenses, like our open space and recreation fund that developers pay for new projects that can only be used for open space and recreation, or the insurance casualty fund, or the city's capital purchasing fund, or our general fund balance. We've been really tight with our budgets over the last 12 years. We've built up a reserve, and it's for a rainy day. My fellow residents, the rainy day has arrived. And fortunately, unlike many other cities, we are in a better place to weather this storm financially. Closing of all City Hall and other public buildings to the public but for our parking facilities. To compensate for the significant revenue shortfall due to COVID-19, we will ask a moratorium be placed on all purchases and projects of the city, with the exceptions of purchases and costs associated with this virus pandemic. All these will have to be approved by our city administrator. All city employees are essential to the service of our residents. Therefore, all cities are required to report to work unless they are sick or take vacation. All city policies regarding sick leave will be enforced according to the new federal laws concerning family leave standards. We are trying our best to keep employees working, but if it becomes necessary for furloughs, layoffs, or to accommodate people working from home, the administration will meet with union leaders who have been extremely cooperative to discuss the ideas that are mutually beneficial to our employees as well as to our residents. Each city director has developed and will continue to develop COVID-19 protocols to be followed by their employees, such as social distancing, wiping down police and fire apparatus with sanitizer when the new shift comes on. The Pennsylvania Sunshine Law allows for two-way technology, as we're doing tonight, and we're allowing the public to participate in city council meetings. All city-sponsored sports events, practices, and special events or festivals at city facilities or in right-of-way streets are canceled through April 30th. This will be recessed at that time to determine any extensions to that declaration. As per the governor, the declaration will not impact our outdoor winter farmers market, but arrangements have been made to require curbside service and a suggested social distancing, which I did witness this past Saturday. However, I did hear from GEDP just recently, within the last hour, that they will be canceling the outdoor winter market this Saturday, but it's because of the wind and cold weather that's expected, and the rain. To waive the enforcement, we're asking City Council to waive enforcement of all traffic violations by our parking enforcement officers or police officers, and direct that they only give tickets that present a safety hazard, such as parking in an intersection or blocking a private driveway, etc. The waiver will extend the month of April and include expired registrations and inspections. We will also curtailing the booting of vehicles until April 30th for all massive unpaid parking fines. We will suspend citations for late fees for penalties effective as of March 16th until April 30th to be reviewed and possibly extended for all utility bills. Street cleaning will not start April 1st. We will delay that till June 1st because everybody's home from work. Effective Monday, March 30th, this coming Monday, our trash hauler has notified us that the collection of bulk items at curbside will cease. So we're asking you, please don't put out your bulk items next week. Daily rates in both the city parking garages will be waived until and through April 30th. Orders that City Hall and public buildings will remain closed will go through April 30th as well. Public meetings of all authorities, boards, and commissions will be canceled at this time unless they have important deadlines that must be met for specific businesses that can't wait. If a meeting must be held, meetings will be remote like this city council meeting during the entire duration of the pandemic, and we will follow Pennsylvania Sunshine Law provisions. It also authorizes the mayor to cancel city council meetings unless, again, important meeting items need to be discussed and approved as we're doing this evening. Because city council tonight will have to approve my declaration of an emergency and the things that we want to do here, because I only have up to 7 days to do that. This order cancels all council district meetings in the neighborhoods. We just can't provide the technology that the Pennsylvania Sunshine Law requires, nor would we want to. So all city council meetings that are held, it'll probably be at least once a month, will be held in this chambers, and it'll be done with the practice like we're doing this evening, when all of the other city council members can call from home. It also authorizes the administration to take any action not listed above that deals with the COVID-19 virus. We do not take these steps lightly, ladies and gentlemen. As individuals who serve your public, we will do everything in our power to provide essential services for the public good of our city residents. We regret having to close or limit services normally provided. We suggest, for example, we're not closing our parks. We want you to get out and enjoy them. Maintain your social distance. But if you're going to put your children on the playground equipment, which we haven't decided yet whether we're going to actually close or not, please bring some sanitizing wipes and wipe it down before you put your child on it. The last thing we want to do is spread this coronavirus. We want to flatten the curve. Our emergency management team will continue to monitor this public health emergency closely and is prepared to respond to any contingencies that arrive. At my direction, our Department of Community and Economic Development and our Redevelopment Authority are already working to develop and provide small business assistance. The effort is reduced significantly as of the early morning's federal government report, when we thought we were going to get a direct allocation of community development block grant funds in addition to what we would normally get. And I had talked to Mr. Kingsley about using that to get small business loans for our small businesses and then buying down the interest with that CDBG fund. So we would basically be giving our loans at zero interest. Well, the good news is thankfully Governor Wolf has stepped in, and I want to thank him. And through our Lehigh Valley Economic Development Corporation, small businesses with less than 100 employees will be allowed to take loans from that $61 million that he has appropriated so far, which doesn't include federal dollars. And they will get no interest loans, which won't start to be paid back for at least 1 year. That's great news for any small business who's in our city, who's striving to make our economy stronger. Last, I'd like to mention that I am staying on top of the developments of Easton Hospital. Whatever we do and whatever I can do, I will do to keep that hospital open and serving our public. I can do it by making calls to our senators and our congresswomen and our local state officials who are in, as you all know and read in the paper, St. Luke's and Stewart Healthcare have asked for a $40 million grant to stay open during this pandemic and to help St. Luke's purchase the hospital. I'm excited that St. Luke wants to purchase the hospital and understand their concerns about the finances, where the Easton Hospital is losing several $1 million a month. But I'm also excited because St. Luke's is a quality health care provider, and it will be a great asset to our city and our area, and I offer them whatever assistance they may need. Tonight I ask our residents to comply with Governor Wolf's stay-at-home order. Follow the recommendations for social distancing to slow the virus and flatten the curve. Just as importantly, after we meet this challenge, I'm asking that you all come back to Easton, support Easton, and support our businesses that are so important to our economic well-being. We all know the city of Easton 2 weeks ago is not the city of Easton today. As I look out my windows and see no one walking on our streets, no one parking on the streets, no one visiting our businesses, our retail stores, our museums, or anything. It's not nice. It's like the Easton I remember 20 years ago, and we certainly don't want to go back to that. But with your help, we will restore a thriving economy that we had just a few weeks ago. In short term, however, let's all remain Rover strong, meet this challenge, and come together for better and stronger than ever. Thank you.